But
Welcome to the Big Metal Detecting Podcast.
I'm fine, Dave. Thank you. No, unfortunately, we've had a lot of bad weather down here, so I haven't got out much. I've been out every opportunity that I've had, but I've probably been out only 3 times in the last 2 weeks. Well, originally it started in February the 7th last year. We'd had 3 weeks of real heavy rain, and most of my fields were waterlogged. I couldn't really go on them without getting into a hell of a mess. And because everybody in the family used the same car, I couldn't really do that. So I went to the one field that I knew would be firm enough for me to go in and dig without getting plastered in mud. I don't normally like this field because it's that hard to dig, but, beggars can't be choosers when the weather's been like that. Anyway. Are they?
Anybody hear me? Tony Kaywood, give me a yes if you can hear me. No, that's not got one. We'll keep trying. Can you hear me, anybody? Yes, Scotty, you can hear me. Give me a hell yeah, someone, if you can hear me. Yes, we're back, I can hear you. Right, sorry everybody, I do apologise. In the process of setting up the show, we started a little bit late. Basically because the computer come back, everything was wiped off it. I set up the Spreaker dashboard yesterday, and obviously now it's working, so I do apologise. Technical difficulties, now they are set, they will not be changed again, so any future broadcasts will be sorted. We did a little bit of news, I'm not going to go through that again. Next week we have Dilek on from Nocta Macro to discuss the Simplex, everything that's going on there currently and in the coming weeks. Following that we have Chris Rogers, Addicted to Bleeps. Following that, Scott and Kimmy Dubay. So that's a brief. Again, I must apologise. It's been a pain getting this started, as I'm sure Mike will attest. So, Mike, again, apologies. So let's start again. Let's tell the listeners exactly what transpired with your original find.
Well, on February the 7th last year, after 3 weeks of real heavy rain, the only field I had that I could go on was this particular field. I didn't like the field at all. It was really hard digging, but it was the only field I knew I could go in and not get blasted. So I went into the field. As you climb the gate, normally the sheep run if there's sheep in the field, but they mobbed me. They wouldn't leave me alone. I don't know whether they thought I was a farmer or whether they thought, well, I don't know what they thought. But anyway, I got about 30 metres into the field, and I had my first signal, and it was only about 3 inches, if that, under the ground, and it was a lovely round piece that looks like a flower. Turned out to be the Celtic horse harness junction piece. I phoned Julian Hart, as most of you know, and we discussed it at the time. It was catering mud, so I couldn't really see what it was properly. But after cleaning it then, I sent Julian some photos, and I said to Julian, what do you think of this? And funny enough, he looked at the photos, but he looked at photos I'd previously sent him. And he said, well, they're the same ones that you sent me last time, Mike. So I said, no, scroll down. So he scrolled down, and, well, the words he came out with then I can't really repeat on here. But anyway, then it started to rain, heavy rain. So I couldn't stay. The following day it rained again, torrential rain. And I had all my friends and everybody saying, you'll never find anything better than that. But on the 9th of February then I went back, and I found the rest. I found a Celtic chieftain chariot burial with chariot. And it transpires then in June, when the archaeologists finally came down, after raising enough funds. They came down for a week. That was last year, and they got down to the top of the chariot. They they didn't believe me that I found one. So then this year, they came back in March after raising more money. They excavated, and it turned out to be a Celtic chieftain chariot burial. Unfortunately, because of the acidic conditions of the ground, the body was completely disintegrated. But where the body had been lying, there was a sword diagonally across the body, which is about 900 mil long, double-edged sword, long sword. There's also the remnants of a spear. Again, they didn't see that until they x-rayed it. There's a prominent fort in the corner of the field. Another 14 burials, ring ditches in the field. But these are thought to be cremation burials. There's no chariot or anything in any of those.
And is this the current information, as in you obviously signed a non-disclosure agreement? Is this things that you're allowed to discuss now after the disclosures?
Sorry about that, my daughter's just come in. I can discuss obviously not locations and names of farmers and that sort of thing, but yes, pretty much. Obviously the actual area itself is as secret as it can be.
Oh, you'd want to keep it secret any day of the week, whatever happens.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of school children that know and stuff like that in the area. They actually invited a lot of farmers and their families to a day there to introduce them, show them around the site. Unfortunately, then when you've got children with you as well who are coming around you, they tell their friends in school and they tell their friends and so on, and before you know it, everybody knows.
Yeah. So it obviously, with it being in a, I take it it's a sort of village area, so it'll be the village schools, children and such like.
Yeah.
So obviously, being a small village, when the leek thrift tour cords were found, it became common knowledge by local people speaking to each other. And obviously, this being the same situation with yourself, is there any security on the site, or of the landowner doing anything else to look after the site away from normal?
Yeah, I mean it's been scheduled for one. It's actually been fenced off. There's no actual access into the area now, for anybody other than the archaeologists and CADU. For anybody to go into that part of the field now, they've first got to get permission from CADU. As well as that, then there's remote Wi-Fi cameras set up in the area. So obviously, if there's anybody sort of being nosy or doing anything that they shouldn't be doing, they'll be caught on camera.
Mm-hmm. And additionally, obviously, from your original finds, there's information widely available on the internet. I've actually shared a Daily Mail article into the Facebook group, which for anybody listening who's not a member of the Facebook group, that's the All Metal Mode UK and Big Metal Detecting podcast. And it says there's the Iron Age sword was been discovered, and the images show the archaeologists who discovered the two iron tyres and the sword. They've got the images of the chariot wheels in situ. What else apart from what you found, and what additional information is there that what's been discovered by the archaeologists?
Well, I've got to put you straight there slightly. They dug down to it. They didn't discover any of it. I told them it was there.
I do apologise. I meant in the case if they revealed it.
Yes, they revealed it. Basically, the average size of the chariot wheel that's been discovered anywhere in Europe up to this point was 600 to 900 mil. That was the biggest. This one's 1,200 mil across, so it's bigger than any other chariot that's been found. Everything about the chariot is exaggerated in size. In the actual 12-metre ring ditch, there's another 2 burials. But again, unfortunately, because of the acidic soil conditions, there's actually no remains left, just like stains in the soil, which was sent away for chemical, analysis then. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there was more bronze and all came up. Along with the iron, what they call double-edged long sword. There was also the spear tip. and other bits and pieces that came up.
Uh-huh.
Not only is it the first chariot found in this side of Yorkshire, it's the first chariot ever found with a metal detector. All the other chariots that have been discovered has even been by building companies laying foundations, or things along those lines. It's the first one ever discovered with a metal detector, and that was with a mine lab metal detector, an Xterra 705 with a 15-inch watt coil, which came from Crawford's metal detectors.
Do you know what, Mike? With all honesty, I've said it before. Out of all the metal detectors I've owned, the Xterra 705 is the one I regret getting rid of the most. It's the machine that felt the most comfortable. So I'm so glad that machine actually proved its worth to you.
Well, what people have got to understand is just because it's old technology doesn't mean to say it's out of date. I mean, my first metal detector was a C-scope. All right, you dug every signal, because you didn't know if it was good or, if it was iron, if it was bronze, if it was gold, silver, whatever. You didn't know what it was. Everything just gave one tone. It was a monotone machine. You had your on and off and your threshold button, and it was like a shepherd's crook-shaped handle. Brilliant machine. I had that in 1977. I found my first cannonball in 1979 with that machine. And that was a British Civil War cannonball. Crawford's, they were that, I can explain, they've been that helpful for me. They actually gave me one of the Equinox machines, Equinox 800, with a 15-inch coil as well. And that's a terrific machine. It's very deep. In the price range, you couldn't ask for a better machine.
So let's go back to the Chariot. The Chariot, commonly they're suggested there are war or ceremonial vehicles. Is there any indication whether which was it ceremonial? Obviously, it's for some form of chieftain, and it must have been a chieftain of quite a high standing, given the size of this particular vehicle.
Yeah. The way it looks at the moment, from what I can gather with other archaeologists talking and so on, it's purely ceremonial. I don't think it would have ever been used, as such. I mean, the wheels were bigger than any other, chariot wheel that's been found, at 1,200 mil across. So it seems like it was just somebody basically just proving his wealth, I suppose.
And is there anything that's been found by the archaeologists that has astounded yourself? Anything that surprised you? The other 14 burials. we knew of 2 more in the field, but after doing the ground penetrating radar, they came across more. So it's a lot more significant site than was previously, thought of. When you take into consideration, if anybody's heard of Castle Henry, that's an Iron Age settlement that's been rebuilt up near Cardigan in Wales. That's on 1 acre land, area. This is on a 16-acre field. So significantly bigger than that. Very much so. And as you said, most of the bones have deteriorated to the point that they're not able to study them anymore within these graves.
No, unfortunately, there's no bones at all.
Right.
They know that the bodies had been there because the chemical analysis after, you could see where the bodies had been, but it was just a stain left, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Were there any other grave goods at all?
No, unfortunately. It's speculation. I don't know whether perhaps it had been raided thousands of years ago. I don't know. But no, you've got the wheels, you've got the sword, you've got the remains of a spear tip. Most of the wood had rotted away. You got old bronze items that I had originally, and you got more bronze items, including horse bridle bits, and so on. But now the area, obviously it's been scheduled, it's been protected as it should be.
Yeah.
It's not something I thought I'd ever find, but I'm quite happy I did.
Ecstatic.
Yeah.
In one of the major articles from back in June that reported the Chariot and the archaeological side of the Chariot, it states that the chariot wheels and the sword will be going on display at St Fagins National Museum of History. Have they been taken out of situ and put in the museum as of yet, or is it still in the hands of the archaeologists?
It's in the hands of the archaeologists. What happens now, I can explain. Some of the items have already gone through the coroner, and then they've gone through the TVC, the Treasure Valuation Committee. Now, until the other items have gone through the coroner and then through the Treasure Valuation Committee, they can't purchase the items. And until they have purchased the items, they can't display them. It's one of those situations. It's a slow process. It'll just take as long as it takes, basically.
Yeah, and this is obviously, it's not just significant for the locality, but it's history changing for the entirety of Wales.
Yes, yeah. I mean, the first conversation. What happened was, on the 7th in the evening, I sent Mark Rodwick, who's our Flo at St Fagins. I sent him an email with an image of it. And the first email that I sent him basically didn't explain. I didn't know at that time the significance of the find. I didn't know that it was a chariot burial because I'd only found that one piece. But I had no reply. I couldn't go back there then till the 9th because of the weather. But on the 9th I made the rest of the discoveries. So I sent Mark more email pictures of the rest of the items, explaining then, hi Mark, this is Mike Smith from Pembrokeshire Prospectors. I believe I found a Celtic chieftain chariot burial. And I had no reply still. This went on now till the 13th of June. I thought, what the heck's going on there? So I phoned up the Chariot Museum and I explained I'd been trying to get hold of Mark, and they explained that he was on annual leave, so he wasn't receiving any emails. So I explained the situation, and they put me through to Adam Gwilt. And on speaking to Adam Gwilt, I said what I believed I'd found. And my first email to Adam Gwilt after that was, hi Mr. Gwilt, my name's Mike Smith, again from Pembrokeshire Prospectors. I found a Celtic chieftain chariot burial. And they all had a giggle, as you would. Because it's never been one found this part of the country, let alone Wales or Pembrokeshire. So you can understand them not believing that I found one. So after they looked at the pictures and everything, they turned around and they said, well, they're very nice finds, but we believe it to be a hoard more likely than it is a chariot burial. But because I'd found parts of, an intact but broken chariot ring, a brooch that was worn on the side of the king's horse, or the chieftain's horse, and that's only the second one of its type ever found anywhere in the world.
Yeah. The
chariot ring now holds the record, the biggest one ever found in Europe. It's 7.5 inches across. The bits that I was finding, they pointed it could only be, a burial.
Yeah, yeah. And if you actually Google, you don't even have to use your name, but if you actually Google Celtic Chariot, more or less every hit for several pages is all the information that the media currently have on the Celtic Chariot and the burials and what have you. So people can actually see for themselves the images, most of which you've provided personally, of the likes of the wheels sticking out of the ground, the horse harness bits, the sword, your original images of what you sent over to Julian. Everything's there and available for people to see throughout. So
the downside of it, believe it or not, a lot of the media companies, they never actually spoke to me.
Yeah.
They sort of copied the photos off the internet and made up a lot of the story themselves. So they've sort of taken bits from legitimate stories and sort of fabricated the story themselves. I mean, the Metro, for one, I had a word with them because they, don't get me wrong, flattering in one way. According to them, I was 45 and 54. They got it the wrong way round. Apparently, I'm going to make millions out of this. I'm not,
Yeah.
I will make money out of it, but it's certainly not going to be in the millions. There's a lot of exaggerated facts. A lot of fabrications in the stories that you see there.
Yeah.
There's another Welsh. I can't think of the name of the site now, but there was another one that posted pictures and so on and stuff, claiming that they'd spoke to me, and I've never heard of them.
Yeah.
They never spoke to me. There's so many of these companies who didn't even have the decency to ring me themselves. They just copied, from other organisations.
Yeah. I remember on one occasion somebody actually contacted me to put me in communication with you as well.
Yeah.
So, and this was somebody that you actually sent back to me that they'd done exactly what you've just said they'd done, and then thereafter they contacted you to discuss it anyway.
Yeah, but what happened on a few different occasions, I've had to change my phone number a couple of times. We've been getting phone calls early hours in the morning and stuff from countries, to them it's daytime, plus it's nighttime.
Yeah.
I've had phone calls from probably every continent.
Wow.
I've had emails, probably every major newspaper, all the science magazines and so on, archaeological magazines. You name it, I've probably had an email or a phone call from them. But a lot of them aren't interested in the real story. 90% of them were only interested in asking me how much money, what's it worth?
Yeah.
How are you supposed to know what something's worth when it's still buried in the ground? So they made up the story then.
Yeah.
Mike Smith's going to make £1 million. Mike Smith's going to make this. We're not. We are going to make some money out of it, but certainly not, as much as these news companies as reported.
Mm-hmm. So what's next, Mike? Where are we at currently?
Well, currently now, they've finished all the excavations at the site. There's going to be a lot of ongoing work over the years with other investigations into the prominent fort in the area. Whether or not they investigate the remaining burials again, that's remains to be seen. Mm-hmm. But as for my find, the chariot, the sword, all the bronze artifacts and all that, it is actually at the Cardiff Museum. It's actually up there on the conservation side at the moment. And when that's finished, then once the Treasure Valuation Committee has sat down and valued the rest of it, and then they make us an offer, and once we agree on an offer, then they can display it.
Yeah. And that'll be hopefully was it St. Fagins Museum?
Yes, it was. But what they've actually said to me is what they've actually said to me is, although it is going to be preliminary, at St. Fagins, it will probably do a tour of museums around the country.
Yeah.
So if it's too far away for most people, just wait until it comes to a museum that's closer to you, if you know what I mean. And
having a museum local to myself, Congleton Museum, that is the case because I've seen quite a few, and Buxton Museum, quite a few displays of whores and such like that are travelling the country.
Yes.
So yeah, if you do wait, I'm sure there's something that'll pop up somewhere.
Yeah. There is talks about it coming down to there's a small museum in St. David's, the smallest city in Great Britain actually, which is I think about 20 miles from where I live.
Yeah.
There's a museum there that's going to be displayed on for a while.
And it's the area of Pembrokeshire, it's somewhere where I've grown up. My family holidays were Barmouth or Saundersfoot near Tenby. My auntie used to live at Haverfordwest. In fact, my cousin still lives in Haverfordwest, and it's somewhere that in the very near future, me and Mrs. Sadler are going to have to take a tour down. We went bypassed it and went to Devon last year, so it's somewhere I definitely want to come back just to relive my childhood somewhat. So hopefully I can coincide at one of the displays, and I'll even let you come and show me what it is.
Yes, yeah, that would be great.
So other sites, Mike, you've been out detecting when the weather's been allowed you to. Have you been out and about any other sites?
I have, yes. I've just gained another 3,000 acres. In not far from where I live. Obviously, I'm not going to give any details of where it was, but I obviously do research on sites.
Yeah.
The best that I can. Unfortunately, any modern maps that you look at, they might go back to the 1800s if you're lucky. Mm-hmm. But you need to research the older maps, and if you can find any information on them. That's the way to go forward. There's no point just going sort of blind onto a site and hoping that you find something. Go and Google Earth. If you have a look from from the sky, Google Earth, I think the closest they can come is a couple of 100 meters to the ground. You can see things in fields that you cannot see when you're in that field. Definitely. But from the satellites you can. So there's always telltale signs. You can see the outline of where buildings were, old hedges, anything like that. You can see, and that's always the places. Obviously, after gaining permission from the landowner, that's always the places to go. Anything where there could be medieval activity, Victorian. Hopefully Roman and Celtic and so on.
Yeah. I'm very lucky where I live in Cheshire. We've actually got the tithe maps have all been put online. So if you choose a certain area, I'd say 75% have got all that information overlaid, all the tithe maps overlaid, so you can actually go right back to the 1600s in some areas. And that for me has been a massive asset. And I'm not sure if many of the counties outside of Cheshire do that. I mean, I've looked for Staffordshire and I've looked for Derbyshire, but they don't seem to have done that yet. But yeah, when you're looking at maps, they are a definite asset to what we do. Yeah,
they don't do that here either. The closest thing you've got down here to that is side by side. You can on your computer screen you can see now, and you can select the date on the left hand side as far as you want to go back to, but most of them don't go back past the 1700s anyway, and then a lot of them are very inaccurate. As well as that, then LiDAR, friends of mine up in England use it, and for a long time I thought the app I had on my phone was broken, but it's not. It turns out that they haven't actually done LiDAR in this area.
Sod's law. We've had one question, and Martin Langford said that St Fagins is actually not pronounced St Fagins, it's St Fagins.
But they smoke up there, do they?
And Lee Hull asks, was the sword bronze?
No, it wasn't. It was iron.
Iron sword.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be bronze as well, but no, it was iron.
So anybody, obviously, any more questions out there, if you'd like to ask Mike anything while we're chatting away, please feel free to drop them into the chat, and I'll ask him on your behalf. So I'm actually, we communicate semi-regularly on Facebook, and I've actually been able to get out myself a couple of times of late. Unfortunately, one of the digs I was supposed to be going to 2 weeks ago was cancelled because the land was flooded near Whitchurch by the rally organiser, and I was supposed to be going this Sunday, and again unfortunately the land isn't fit for purpose, so I'll be going off towards Bridgnorth with Dudley Metal Detecting Group and two friends of mine this week, so I'm hoping for a bit of luck there. So I'll let you rub your luck off on me, Mike.
Yeah. Well, the problem being down here this time of year, it's very hit and miss. Sometimes I don't get out for a few weeks at a time. Unfortunately, this part of Wales, we have more rain than most parts of the country do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my fields at the moment, they're like marsh. You couldn't dig a hole in them because the minute you're digging a hole, it's filling in with mud and water. So you can't see, some of the fields you can't walk in without your boots weighing, or 3 pound more by the time you left the field. Huh. And the state you get in is, you could not park your car in any of these fields. You just couldn't do it.
Yes, it's been not as bad as that, but it's been pretty bad up here as well. As I say, that dig was cancelled, and again, luckily I've got a site which they've cropped recently, so I'm allowed on there for one of the fields is staying blank until next year, so I've got the whole of the winter season to spend on there, so I'm quite looking forward to actually talking Iron Age. I've got an artifact, it's only like a stud, but it was classed as an Iron Age stud, which is on the the Portable Antiquities scheme website. So hey, I've found something Iron Age, Mike.
Could I actually give a shout out to somebody?
You can say whatever you want, sir.
Two friends of mine, Anthony Thomas and David Woods. Anthony's from Neyland, only 4 mile away from me, but they're working at Minkley Point, and they metal detect while they're working away in the evenings. They've had a hammered coin hoard in the last 2 weeks. They've had a Bronze Age axe hoard in the last 2 weeks. They had the other night. They had a Bronze Age dirk, which is very similar looking to a Bronze Age rapier, which is like a dagger version of a sword, if you know what I mean. And plus, they've just had another Bronze Age torque, virtually intact as well.
Wow.
So I don't know if you'd like to talk to him.
Well, certainly would, yeah. I take it that's in the South Wales area also.
Well, no, they actually live. David lives in North Wales. Anthony Thomas lives in South Wales, which is just 4 mile away from where I actually live. But they're working at Inkley Point power station,
right?
On the rebuild, and that's where they're metal detecting. So it's in England.
Yeah.
But in the last 2 weeks, they've had some brilliant finds.
I'm sure the listeners would love to hear about them, definitely. So we'll have to you have to put me into contact with them, certainly.
Will do. If you have a look at my friends list, Dave, you'll see Anthony Thomas on there, and you'll also see Dave Woods. I'll have a word with them as well if you want. They can contact you if you like, or the other way around. But it's not very often I get jealous of seeing somebody else's finds. Not jealous in a bad way, if you know what I'm saying. I'm really pleased for them. But to see them come up with you put the dirt up, and because you couldn't actually see the size of the item, I can remember my comment first of all was, and I was the first person to comment on there. It looks like you found a Bronze Age rapier to me, but then with the size of it turns out that it's a dirk. And also then they put up another item which just looked like rope, if you know what I mean, but you could see it was sort of bronze. And that was in 3 pieces, but Anthony found the biggest part, and then David, I believe, found the other 2 smaller parts, and it's virtually intact. So the land that they're metal detecting on, that's got some terrific history on it.
Certainly sounds it, definitely. There's been a number of other good finds which have come to my eyes over the past couple of weeks. In particular, one from Chris Rogers, where he was addicted to bleeps, where he was detecting a site of his, and he came up with a Bronze Age hoard. I think it was at last count it was something like 5 axe heads, spear tip, possible sword. And he stopped. He stopped when things started to get a little bit too beyond him archaeologically, let's say. And he did the right thing on calling the archaeologists right in. And I think they're all going out tomorrow to the site. The archaeologists are going to take their the first look at the site tomorrow. But if anybody listening is interested in that, Chris Rogers, his video "Addicted to Bleeps" is on YouTube. I think it's the header of "You have to stop when this happens" or something like that. But absolutely fascinating to see exactly what he was bringing out the ground, and you could hear his mind changing throughout, to the point it was like, oh dear, I best stop.
Yes,
but another gentleman, a friend of the show, Andre Figueredo, one of his good friends in Luxembourg, I think it is, he actually found a Napoleonic sword last year, and the article's on the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine website. But he found a Nazi coin hoard last week. Now, it might not sound much to some people, but anything like that, any coin hoard, must be really fascinating to see. So I'm looking forward to seeing more images of that. He's sent over a few, Andre, already, but the chap's going to write an article up for the magazine, so really looking forward to seeing that Nazi coin hoard.
It's the one hobby, I think. Once you get into the hobby, I don't think you could ever get bored of it.
Not at all. And there's so many people who are coming into the hobby who, if you know them personally beforehand, you'd think, nah, they wouldn't stick it, and then bang, they're hooked. The chap I work with started metal detecting the weekend Rodney Cook Memorial Rally was his first time out. The second time out was the following weekend, his second ever time metal detecting. What did he find? A gold stata. So he comes into work, that was the weekend of Detectable, so he come into work on the Monday, showed me that, and I walked off in disgust.
I've never had a gold coin.
Not me neither. To be honest, I thought I'd found it's something like an 1898 Dutch coin with the Dutch Queen on it, and I'm so excited. I looked around for a bit, so excited to come home. I sent images over to a coin dealer who I know, just for his advice on what it actually was, and he himself was quite ecstatic at the find, until he zoomed in really, really close, and right at the bottom underneath the Queen's head, and I'm the smallest writing you can see, much like most things we have to sign these days, COPIE, copy. Devastated.
I've got two shield coins in my collection, which were found many years ago, and I thought, brilliant, the gold colour, Georgian shield, guinea basically, in the day, and they also copied them and made gaming tokens out of them, but after I'd cleaned mine, it said on both of them, it actually says, if I can remember the exact wording now, basically in memory of days gone past. They were copies.
Wow.
Yeah. So there we go.
When I went out the other week, I didn't find much at all. Nothing of consequence. I'm using the Ruta Salter 71, and I've Tony Kaywood's built a Ruta Salter 71 UK website, so people can go on there for tips, to share the stories, etc, etc. So I downloaded all the different users settings, so I was changing between settings, and I've been using Tony's for the last 2 or 3 occasions that I'd actually been out, and I decided the field isn't great, let's have another one. So I used Adrian Gaylor's settings, went straight out, and it was a totally different frequency to what Tony was using, and I found a bag seal, nothing in particular, but this bag seal wasn't one of the most intricately designed I've ever seen, and to me something like that is very worthwhile finding. I love to see the intricacy of the design. It might not even be old, but fascinating nonetheless.
I like finding bag seals myself. Yourself as a metal detector, 8 out of 10 times you go out, you don't find much at all. You might find the old copper coins and stuff like that. But unfortunately, where I am, because of the ground conditions being so acidic, copper coins around here, they're just sort of blank mainly. Unless it's sort of like a boggy type ground or peat type ground, nothing seems to get preserved. It's just one of those situations, unless it's silver or gold, or most of it is really badly worn, sometimes beyond sort of knowing who it is. It's a shame. When I started in 1977, the copper coins that I was finding then were like new. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, there was a lot of refineries popped up in the area. The fertilizers farmers used changed. And, the same, you're only talking 42 years, but the same area that I go to then, if I went there today, there'd be nothing left of the coins. And that's not because it's 42 years. It's because of the fertilizers that's been used and the acid rain from the refineries, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. I can't comment, obviously. In the 1970s, I was born in 74. Went out with my dad, and I honestly can't think of, or I have no knowledge of anything that my dad or my uncles, 2 uncles who went with him, I've got no knowledge of anything that they found between them in any way, shape or form, and I really wish I did, obviously. Continuing about bag seals, there's a very, very interesting site called the Peace Havens, and it's run by a gentleman called Jad Dodd, and this was originally set up, and I'll just read it out: an ongoing project involving the finding and identification of Russian lead, flax and hemp bale seals and lead trading tokens from the disused flax mills at Aker's High Mill, Benton Mills, Brompton Mills, Foley Gill Mill, Kinghorn Mills, Knaresborough Mills, Little Patrick Mill, Pennybridge Mill, West House Mill, and other sites and museums throughout the British Isles. For many decades in the 18th and 19th century, Russia was by far the world's greatest explorer of flax and hemp plants via the ports of Archangel, Königsberg, Kronstadt, Liebnow, Memel, Narva, Pernau, Revel, Riga, St. Petersburg, Tilsit, Windau, and Great Britain was Russia's major customers. So if anybody does have a bag seal like me, which is very intricately designed, and you want to find out a little bit about it, I'm sure that will be available somewhere on this Peace Haven site, which I'm sharing in both the chat room currently and also on the All Metal Mode UK and Big Metal Detecting podcast as well. So I've shared them on both pages for people to see.
I've actually sent a few. Sent a few images into Jed, because I couldn't identify them, of Russian flax seals, and he actually came back with actually the name of the person who made it and everything, what station it was in, everything, the year it was made. The knowledge that these people have is incredible. I wouldn't have even known where to start.
I mean, what you've just said there, and obviously the work Jed put into that, it takes some effort to be able to get to the point where he can tell you the person who made it, definitely. And as I say, the information on this is unrivaled on the Peace Havens project, and as you've attested to, it's very worthwhile contacting Jed. He actually sent me a booklet which is available to purchase. I don't know if it's via the website itself, the Peace Havens website, but last year or the year before he sent me it's more of a pamphlet brochure. It's a few pages. It's not a book as such, but very, very interesting. And again, it's got images in there that you can use for your own benefit as well.
Yeah, brilliant. They are. It is. It's a very good site, for help. Unfortunately, there's not the actual sites to go on. There's just not that many of them.
Yeah.
So how they get the information, I don't know. I mean, when I started, you couldn't even get British military ensign books, as you call them. The cap badges and so on. So growing up in a place called Lanyon Barracks in Pembrokeshire, there's a military graveyard. So when I used to find a few military badges once a week, I'd go down to the military graveyard. I'd walk up and down the headstones until I saw the headstone with the same design of the badge I had in my hand.
Yeah.
So then I'd write on a small piece of paper then what the name of it was, and that would then go in my display case with the name underneath. In those days, that was the only way I identify what badge it was.
Scott DeBay says that Jet Ski John and Jackie Smith detect with him. Andrew Jones, a friend of mine, also he's a big advocate of Jad Dodd as well. Scott and Kimmy have got a number of seals registered with him also. So if you do have any seals and you're unable, if they have got some design on that you can't identify, and I'm sure if you contact Jed with anything else, I'm sure mine doesn't look in any way, shape or form Russian. I'm sure he'd be able to point me in the right direction, because I'm going to have to get it under the actual microscope to see what the wording is. So I might do that and send it over to Jed if needs be as well. Fascinating.
I've had some interesting little bag seals, and I couldn't identify them again. And although they weren't Russian, they turned out to be cloth makers' seals. Like when people used to make cloth in the mills and stuff like that, they put their own little bag seal on what they made.
Yeah.
And there's such a lovely little design on them, But again, it's knowing where to look. I didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you find in most cases, if it's not valuable or it's, people aren't really interested in making sort of, that sort of information available.
Mm-hmm. There's another place that I generally look for finds identification, and I'll be honest with you, to me it's the most comprehensive site for finds identification I find, and that's Colchester treasurehunting.co.uk.
Yes, I noticed that as well.
Absolutely brilliant. And then of course there's the books that I can't remember, the finds identification books, which are, you can acquire them via Greenlight Publishing, which are fascinating for finds identification. I'll say it again, finds identification. So give them a look if needs be, and all them links, anybody wants any of them links, please go to www.archmdmag.com, which is the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine website, and that's all in the finds identification area on there. So the links directly to, well, in the identification library there's actually multiple images of things that you may help you identify, charts and whatnot. Also the link to the Colchester treasure hunting .co.uk, and also the best book I think most of us have seen on finds identification, and that's just called plainly Finds Identified, which was published last year by Greenlight Publishing, which of course Treasure Hunting magazine is a subsidiary of. Fascinating. Obviously all these places, we all need assistance with finds identification, but if you don't want to go the easy route and put a picture on Facebook for everybody to comment on, and you want, like Mike does, to do that little bit extra research, please utilise these identification libraries, because not only are they fascinating, and not only have people took years in some cases putting them together, but there's also things that you might see that you've got thrown in your bucket of rubbish in the bottom of the garden, so it might help you immensely anyway.
I was lucky enough for Julian to get a copy sent out to me before it was actually put on release. So yeah, it's one of my favourite books of all time. It's so easy to to identify your finds. It's one of the best books out there.
Yeah, I can't argue with you in any way, shape or form. I'm trying to think who the name of the gentleman who made the finds identification books that I'm on about. There was 5 or 6, and then there were also the Buckles version and such like finds identification books. Yeah, not going to be able to find these, are we? Metal detecting finds identification books. As I say, they're definitely via Greenlight Publishing. I should have gone on to their site. But these books that I'm talking about have been out for a number of years now, and they are they are significant for the amount of information that's in there, and the ability to utilise them easily to help yourself identify things. There you go, found one. They're actually called Detector Finds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And they're by Gordon Bailey, if I can read that correctly. So have a look for them if anybody's, and I'm sure even the likes of LP, Regtons and such like will stock them also, so easily accessible. I've got mine in PDF, but don't tell anybody. Mike, is there anything else that you'd like to comment on regarding the Celtic Chariot find this evening? Any more news that you've not given out already?
Yes. On the 9th of November, for any of you that's close enough and would like to attend, Pembrokeshire Coast National Park and their archaeologist Thomas, along with Adam Gwilt and other archaeologists, are holding an event at Pembrokeshire College. It's an all-day event from 9 a.m, I believe. Basically on about the Celtic chieftain chariot burial and what it means to the area.
I wish I could get down, my friend.
Oh, it's a long way.
I won't be able to. What that was the 9th, did you say? Yeah.
Yeah, 9th of November.
So is that midweek as well?
It's a Saturday.
Oh, it's a Saturday.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm actually at a meeting the week before, but as I say, probably a little bit before. But anybody who is in the southwest of England or Wales, if you can get there, it would be, I'm sure, a fascinating talk. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure, Mike, as ever. Apologies for my ineptitude at the start of the show. Thankfully, I've sussed out what was wrong, and there's one little, very small change I'm going to make next week, which hopefully will make things a little bit different, and I'll be able to hear things a little bit better on my side. Thank you again, and I will speak to you obviously in the future, and any other information that comes through, you're more than welcome to come on the show at any time to discuss that.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Brilliant. A few shout outs tonight. Thank you for everybody in the chat room. Lee Hull, Scott DeBay, Scotty B from north of Tyne, or shall I call it Fog on the Tyne Metal Detecting, north of the Tyne Metal Detecting Club, which is a Facebook group. Anybody wishing to go on there, Scott's always looking for new people to come on board and have an opinion. To, as I say, Scott DeBay, Tony Kaywood as ever, Martin Langford, Graham Dempsey, Pete Terrell, who I'm sorry I shouted, and again sorry for my ineptitude at the start of the show. And next week we have Dilek Gonulay from Macro Nocta, who will be discussing everything that's going in the world of the simplex at the moment. Thank you everybody for listening tonight, and hope to speak to you all soon.
Good night, Dave.
Good night, Mike.
The Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine acts as a hub for information, offering articles from archaeologists, detectorists and other specialists throughout the genre, featuring many links, event info and news articles associated to archaeology and metal detecting. We also offer professional review services and promotion for books, resources, videos, documentaries, gadgets, equipment and much, much more. The magazine is run by the archaeological and metal detecting community for the archaeological and metal detecting community. So come visit us at archmdmag.com, that's archmdmag.com, and check out information from our media section with all the latest content, news from the Archaeology channel, podcasts and the YouTube channels that feature the now legendary Digger Dawn, the Man with the Hat and Archeo Duck, just to name a few. If you would like to offer an article, link or inquire about other services, then pay us a visit at archmdmag.com and drop us a line.